There were once 3 brothers who were traveling along a lonely winding road at twilight. In time, the brothers reached a river that was too deep to wade through and too dangerous to swim across. However, these brothers were learned in the magical arts, and so they simply waved their wands and made a bridge appear across the treacherous waters. They were halfway across this bridge when they found their path blocked by a hooded figure. And Death spoke to them. He was angry that he had been cheated out of 3 new victims, for travelers usually drowned in the river. But Death was cunning. He pretended to congratulate the brothers upon their magic, and told them that each had earned a prize for having been clever enough to evade him. The first brother, who was a combative man, asked Death for a wand more powerful than any in existence, a wand that must always win duels for its owner, a wand worthy of a wizard who had conquered death. So, Death went to an elder tree at the banks of the river, fashioned a wand from the branches that hung there, and gave it to the oldest brother. The second brother, who was an arrogant man, wanted to humiliate Death still further. He asked for the power to recall others from death. So, Death picked up a stone from the banks of the river, gave it to the second brother, and told him that the stone had the power to bring back the dead. Then Death asked the third and youngest brother what he would like. Now the third brother was the wisest and also the humblest, and he did not trust Death. He asked Death for something that would enable him to go forth from that place without being followed by Death. And so Death, most unwillingly, handed over his very own cloak of invisibility. And then Death stood aside and allowed the brothers to continue on their journey, and they did so, talking with wonder of the adventure they had had, and admiring Death's gifts. In due course, the brothers departed, each for his own destination. The first brother journeyed for a week or more, and having come to a distant village, he sought out a fellow wizard with whom he had had a quarrel. Now, with the Elder Wand at his side, he could not fail to win the duel that followed. Avada Kedavra! And leaving his enemy dead on the floor, the oldest brother proceeded to an inn where he boasted loudly of the wand he had snatched from Death himself and of how it made him invincible. Later that night, another wizard crept upon the first brother while he lay wine-sodden in his bed. The thief took the wand and, for good measure, slit the oldest brother's throat. And so, Death claimed the first brother for his own. Now, the second brother journeyed to his own home, where he lived alone. He took out the stone that had the power to bring back the dead, and turned it thrice in his hand. 1, 2, 3. To his amazement and his delight, the figure of a girl stood before him, a girl who he had once hoped to marry before her untimely death. However, she was distant and cold and separated from him as though by a veil. Although she had returned to the mortal world, she did not truly belong there. Finally, after having been driven mad with hopeless longing, the second brother killed himself so as to truly join his beloved. And so, Death took the second brother for his own. And though Death searched for the third brother for many years, he could never find him. Finally, after attaining a great age, the third brother took off the cloak of invisibility and gave it to his son. And then he greeted Death as an old friend and together, as equals, they departed this